All of us, especially the first cousins, know the joy and love of a finger pinch. Even though Janet was an only child, she was raised around her older cousin, Wilmer Y. Latham II, which is my brother. We called him Puncho, and her younger aunts, which is R. Joy Sanders, W. Dean Hunter, and her uncle Darnell Hampton. She thought of them as her siblings instead of her aunts and uncles. They were so close in age, and called them by their first names casually. She so enjoyed being around them, especially when she visited them at our grandparents' house in Oklahoma. Janet was 67 years old when she gained her wings departing on March 27, 2025. Janet is survived by her mother, Naomi Hampton. Janet is cherished by her loving family and a host of extended cousins and a host of extended relatives, including aunts, uncles, and cousins. Janet will be forever in our hearts and minds. Amen. Thank you. So we're getting to a point. This is a memorial service, so not quite a traditional type service that you're typically used to. So what we wanted to do, because it was going to be a lot of family here today, we wanted to give time to the family if they wanted to come up and talk about times with Janet, to friends who wanted to talk about Janet, their times with her, and at this one, you have a little bit more than 2 minutes because we don't have other things going on. But definitely come up here and give some stories of how you met her, how you know her, the relationships you have. We would love to hear it. No one said okay, but I did. Okay. Again, I am Janet's cousin. Janet, my brother and I were all raised together, even though they're much, I always say, I used to tease her because she was so much older than me, but she was so close to me. And so I have a lot of stories with Janet, but I think because I have most of my cousins here, a lot of them know those stories, but the younger ones don't know much about Janet, and they don't know much about Janet and her relationships with her older cousins. So I'm going to talk about Janet and my brother. Those two were thick as thieves. They were only a year apart, and they hung out with each other all the time. Now, when they were teenagers, I was a little kid. When they were teenagers, my brother had a motorcycle. And those two, with that motorcycle, many shenanigans. But one that I truly remember, because my brother got in a lot of trouble, was they were riding. I don't know what happened, but they hit something and the motorcycle flew, and they did too. And so instead of catching my cousin, he caught the motorcycle. So they both come home, scratches, and Janet had scratches, and my mother had a fit. So needless to say, he was in trouble for a while. But those two, they used to get me in trouble because they would make me unlock the door so that they can sneak in after curfew. But she always knew it, and she was there. They swore I was the one that always told, but they must have thought that she didn't live life her own self, because she was right there at that door every time they came in late. I never saw Janet get a spanking, but my brother had to take hers and his. So those are some fun things that I remember about Janet. I know also in there it mentions traveling, so I was one of the cousins that traveled with her. Yolanda has too, and some other cousins have different places. But it was just a joy, going with her because she was like an older sister. So, and I don't have any sisters, so biologically. So it was just fun being with her and enjoying some things I should have enjoyed and some things I should not have enjoyed. It was just a lot of fun. So those are my times that I can think of with Janet. Please, family, come up. Friends, please come up.
My name is Carl Hunter. I'm one of the few uncles that she have left. I have a couple of things that I'd like to. That's not going to cooperate with me. There's a couple of things that I'd like to share. You know, this is an interesting time whenever we have a celebration for loved ones that's gone on. And as I was thinking and I was pondering, many times this is a fearful time for a lot of people. But I want to dispel some of your fears. Faith generally will do away with fear. Many times you're afraid of something because you don't know. I want to share something from the book of Corinthians that hopefully will help to dispel some of your fear. And this is titled "Awaiting the New Body." And I'm going to start at the 5th chapter and the 6th verse. It says, "Therefore we are always confident and know that as long as we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord. For we live by faith, not by sight. We are confident, I say, and would prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord. So we make it our goal to please him, whether we are at home in the body or away from it." What this is teaching us is that many times people are afraid. When a person passes, the spirit goes automatically back to God for where it came. Most people are afraid, think you're lingering around in the grave for a long time. That's not true. That's not true. We immediately, as the book of Ecclesiastes says, we immediately apart and go back to the Father from which the Spirit came. We're always sad when a loved one passes, but if we have that confidence of knowing that it goes back to the Father, and guess what? We're going back too. So we will be able to see our loved ones. The whole Hampton family will be able to see them again. The last thing that I will share with you is John 3:16. We're coming up on Easter season, and this is to me a time of celebration, to celebrate about what's already happened. And John 3:16 says that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. So this is an opportunity for all of us not to perish, to believe what has been said, to believe what has been taught, and we will all go back and join and join. The last thing that I will leave you with is that it'll be a happy time. Many times we grieve, we grieve, but guess what? When this period is over for me, like it's over for some, I'm going to have the new body that we talked about, and that one's going to have hair. It's going to be good looking, probably 30 years old. And so it's a time not to be. We all grieve, but it's a time to be happy because we know the future. Faith dispels fear. Thank you.
Thank you, babe. Got you. Where am I? Right in front of the mic? Okay. Hey, y'all. I'm Patsy Robinson. I live on Maffitt Place with the Hamptons, and I am missing my good friend
Janet. As you see, I'm visually handicapped. Janet would drive and escort me to my doctor's appointments. Yes, she would. Janet was a good person. She was very helpful to me. And I always told my sister, Rita, I said, I don't know what I would do without Janet. She was an excellent helper, and I appreciated her. I know she's resting now. But the last time she took me, we were at the dentist, at the doctor, and it was in March. And she said, "You're looking good now." She's checking my schedule. And she says, "You know, you don't have anywhere to go in April." Really? Here we are. Here we are. Now, Janet is an only child. I have 3 children, and we live directly across the street from each other. I have Denise, Diane, and Julian. Janet was a pretty little girl. She had big, pretty brown eyes. Janet had plenty of pretty clothes. Janet had a dog, a pedigree. Janet had a long pet snake. Was it? Oh. Janet would come across the street. Like I said, she lived directly across from us. And she would come over, not in the house, somewhere out between the street and the sidewalk, I would say. And Janet was amazing. The way she could handle that snake. She would wrap it around her little body, and she would smooth it off, and she would say, "See, it's harmless. Do you want to hold it?" I took a picture of my daughter, Diane, holding this snake. "Come on, Mama, take a picture. Get it now." She was petrified. And we thought it was agonizing watching her in her bravery. Janet told me one time, she was watching Miss Naomi. She was sitting in the living room, and she saw her mother coming down the steps. And she was walking, looking, like she was looking for something. And Janet said, "Mama is looking for my snake." The snake was up in the windowsill, basking in the warmth of the sun. Janet said, "Mama is uncomfortable with my snake crawling freely around the house." She said, "I have to do something." So she got the snake, gathered it up, took it outside, put it in the trunk of the car, which was parked on the street. Now, the next morning, Janet got up to feed her snake. She went out, popped the trunk, looked inside. The snake was gone. She said, "Oh my, it has escaped," because it was never caged. So what did she do? She called the neighbors. She called us all and said her snake was missing, and she gave us information as what to do. What I will remember most is what she said. She said, always remember now, look into your dryer because it likes warm places. I didn't wash it all that day. No laundry was done. And as the time went on, it started getting late. It's getting dark. And so the neighbors started saying, what has Jenny found that snake yet? Miss Davis is here. Miss Davis, raise your hand. And she got a hand up. Miss Davis lived like one house over or up from the Hamptons. And shut up, I'm talking. And she made me forget what I was saying. Oh, Miss Davis had two children, Stephen and Sherry, and all these kids were around the same age. They're really in the same age group. Miss Davis, will you repeat what you said that day? Has Janet found her snake yet? Will you say it loud enough for everybody to hear you? Has Janet found her snake yet? Will you say it like you said it then?
I find the snake and I was happy.
I will tell you since she didn't. She said, has Janet found that snake yet? She said it with an attitude. So, after that, the next day, the kids were walking to school, and they saw this snake, and it had a big lump in it. This hungry snake had devoured some unsuspecting creature that was bigger than it was. Janet said, that's my snake. Then the principal at the school had called the Humane Society, and it came and took the snake away. The last time Janet and I were talking, I said, Janet. She said, yeah, Dr. Evans, what is it? I said, you know, every time I go to wash and dry my clothes, I look for your snake. And Janet turned and she looked at me out of the side of her eye and she said, really? Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. That's theirs. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Carlene Davis, and there's one house between Janet's house and my house. I'm the oldest person on the block. I've been in that house for 62 years. And Janet was a cute little girl, as Patsy said, a darling little girl. Very friendly, and she and my son were the same age and the very best of friends. They did all kinds of things that the parents did not learn about until they were grown. They knew how to keep secrets among themselves and away from my daughter. Sherry was 2.5 years younger than Janet and Stephen. So my house was like a community center, and I kind of feel like I helped Naomi rear Janet, because when Janet saw me, she knew she had to walk the chalk line. She was an excellent cook, and she loved to grill and could make the best pot of greens you've ever had. She could come through her backyard, one house over, and come into my yard. I had the basement filled. She knew all of the latest dances and just enjoyed being there, and I enjoyed having them. I miss Janet very, very much. She was so helpful. She would do anything she could for any of us. She respected all the old people in the block. And she would call and say, Miss Davis, I'm getting ready to go to the store. Do you want anything? You want me to bring you something back? And I said to her one day, Janet, I like to pick my own stuff. And she said, well, get ready. You can go with me. I said, no. She said, I know you need a 30-day notice, don't you? She had a sense of humor. She was very, very helpful, and we're all going to miss her. And Naomi, you had a beautiful daughter. Thanks for sharing.
Good evening. Just so that you all know, I'm the house in the middle that everybody keeps. I'm the newest of like the past 9-10 years. So, but I love all my neighbors. My late husband used to always say, "You gonna allow them ladies to get you in a world of trouble."
Thank you all for those wonderful stories. Anyone else who may want to share a story about Janet? Okay. Well, this will conclude our memorial service for Janet Hampton. Janet will be buried tomorrow. Friends who may not know, we also lost a close cousin of ours. So his service is tomorrow. And at the interment for him will be the same day and time for Janet. They both will be buried not too far from each other. So if you wanted to join the family, you can be here to follow at noon, I would say. And then we'll be heading out to Lake Charles Cemetery. Okay? You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And family, tomorrow, for our aunts and uncles, you'll be picked up at 9:30 in the morning at the hotel, just like today. And then after the interment, the funeral home will bring you back to the hotel tomorrow, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. And then the rest of us will have to follow in a car, okay? Well, thank you all for coming to celebrate our memorial service for Janet. Something totally unexpected. But I'm so glad we were all able to come here to share in our joy, because I'm not going to say sadness, in our joy about Janet. And yes, she did have a yellow python. Big old thing, yellow python. And yes, for those family members who haven't seen any pictures, we have some young pictures of Janet up here so you can see what they're talking about, because Janet was fine when she was young. She was. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for your condolences. Thank you for all the prayers. And family, we have to do this again tomorrow. So let's be there for each other. And friends, thank you again for coming. All right? Have a good evening. I forgot they snuck in, but your Texas crew is here. Stand up, Texas. Stand up, Texas. They can't see you. Come on, Deacon, Chrissy.